So speaking of the best podcast of the year, this is our 200th episode.
Oh my God. No wonder I'm not excited at all to talk about water sports ever.
So we have to talk about water sports in the 200th episode.
Can we do like a look back? Can we have Boys to Men playing their rendition of Yesterday? All my troubles seem so far away.
Boys to Men was like the quintessential 90s like R&B boy band. They were good. They were good.
I bet you when you were a kid, you were like, man, if I could find a girl that wants to dance with me, it'd be to Boys to Men.
Jesus. My daughter, she has her first like official dance at middle school today.
All right.
So it's just funny. And she's like, talking about it a lot, asked her about the boys, and she's like, no, boys are dumb. I'm not dancing with boys, so.
Is it just you and her?
No, I'm not going. No, it's just a middle school dance,
I thought she was homeschooled.
No, my son's homeschooled.
That would be
that's so stupid to do a dance at my house alone with just you're a funny guy.
We're doing a dance at my school today. My daughter's homeschool. That's fucking weird, dude. Oh fuck. 200 episodes, man. I know when people like get in my feed and they're like, I'm gonna start a podcast, and I'm just like, nah, you're gonna start one. These things are so hard, man. I'm doing like I found a podcast on something I'm like interested in learning about. And it's good. It's really good. Super impactful. 25 episodes and it's done. You know what I mean? I run into so many podcasts that just end after 20, 30 episodes. And it's like, I think like this is a part of it, right? Like we've been doing it so long, you just got to do reps. And I think half the time people don't even realize like how unprepared we actually are, or like the level of preparedness it takes to just do a podcast. Cause it's just like turn it on and record. But I'll tell you, dude, there's times like today, I know why internally I was feeling like I don't want to fucking record a podcast because I've done it 200 times with you. We don't even have a topic today. Here's a big secret. Well, me and Greg just bullshit and then make up a topic after the fact.
Yeah, but honestly, though, when we do that, typically the show's better than if we come like super prepared and then we overanalyze the topic, and it turns into some of the best conversations that you and I have with just like a random phone call that leads into this really good conversation. And that happens a lot with like other people I talk to on a regular basis as well. Like, and I wish I could record all those phone conversations as podcasts because there's a lot of aha moments that come out of it. And so that's kind of like what our show is. It's like, we're going to talk, we're going to riff, and then there's going to be some value in there. And if there's not, then you get entertained.
It's like, and it's funny. I don't by any stretch of the imagination feel like we're Joe Rogan, but completely unscripted. No, Joe hits play and they just talk. And it's funny because sometimes they'll have a guest on the show where something has happened with them in the media and they don't even touch on it. Like Joe doesn't even touch on this like thing that happened to that particular guest, even though it's topical, even though stuff's going on. The last Theo Vaughn one he had, Theo Vaughn's just been getting drug. And I don't know if you've ever watched a lot of Theo Vaughn's content, but he's very authentic. And,
I love him. I love his stuff.
And you can tell like he suffers from like a lot of mental health issues. So with all the stuff with him, like doing the whole run with Trump and him sort of being vilified by, certain media outlets or people who no longer like him because they've seen as like maybe like MAGA or whatever. You could just tell that and that probably emotionally affects him a lot. Like he's
Mhm.
probably used to really being liked, and then people not liking him has been like, oh man, probably been really tough. He had a really bad Netflix special, but they talked for like, man, almost 3 hours, and they touched on it at the end like a little bit, where they were just having like a really personal conversation. It wasn't like a back and forth. You could tell like question answer the way it was even framed. Like it just came up organically. So well, I agree. And I know a lot of guys listen to the show because they want some insight or, you know, magic bullet to help their business or whatever. But, you know, it's like rarely is that the case ever. Like I'll have one, like I had one-on-one yesterday, just out of, and I don't do a lot of them. I honestly don't. I'm not a consultant. Do I want to help you fix your business? Really, like on a one-on-one thing, because
Mhm.
it's so much longer than that. And you really have to get at the heart of things and just kind of have like an open, honest conversation. And I think a lot of times when it comes to the event, when it comes to the show, when it comes to education in general, you want a notepad and a pencil and bullet points and action points that you need to do. But I think any and all business is so much more of a personal journey than that.
Mhm.
That there's no necessary. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things you can learn from books and podcasts and everything else. However, I think like really taking time to like reflect on the things you're doing and you're just again like this, so like almost like an organic conversation you have to have with yourself or with your team, and just kind of like flush things out and have these conversations, because there's no one thing that you can do that, you know, or topic that we're going to be like, today we're going to talk about SEO and here's the magic bullet how you get to number one. And I feel like a lot of guys feel that that's the case with marketing, with sales, with operations, that there's
Mhm.
just these like 5 things that you can do or 10 things that you can read off a listicle that's going to make your business great or give you the acumen that it takes, when the reality of it's just
Yeah.
painful fucking reps that you got to go through on a daily, monthly, quarterly, yearly basis.
So I got to ask you, so of the 200 episodes we've done, like what are some of the most impactful interviews or discussions that we've had?
I don't, dude,
You don't think?
I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning.
But there's got to be some conversations that you're like, okay, that was a very good. I mean, we've talked. I mean, you say, wow, it was a
Suedo,
good podcast.
Suedo. Suedo was my favorite one of the year. Like, I mean, I shit you not. That was probably my favorite podcast of the year. I had more laughs in that podcast than any podcast. And frankly, I'm in it for the lulls. You know, like the most fun I can have on a podcast is the most impactful one to me, because I feel like when you do that, you can kind of get to like the heart of who someone is and really get to know them on a different level, catch them off guard with some crazy stuff. And yeah, I can't point to any one where I'm like, I learned a lot on that one. You know,
Well,
maybe
I'll
it's our
say,
fucking stable of guests. You know, I need some more smarter people.
no, well, I'll say, like, I think the interview with Zeb was very eye opening. Just having an opportunity to learn from him and hear, you know, what his outlook is on the economy and how water sport businesses operate. And we're gonna have Zeb back on the show, maybe for the end of the year. I think we have a show scheduled with him.
Zab. Zab. I thought you said Zach. I was like, you learned
Yeah,
a lot
no.
from your sales guy.
No, so Zeb Smith from Zebulon.
Oh
He's
yeah.
a business consultant. That was, and we're gonna bring him back on. And if you haven't, go to our website, watersportpodcast.com, search that episode and listen to it. And I think you guys will find some nuggets of great information. But one thing I want to say is every conversation we have with a guest or just with Kevin and I, like this is like fuel for me personally, and I hope it is for a lot of you that are listening. Is that when I talk to guests, I'm talking to Kevin, we're talking about business, and maybe it's not always about water sports, but it's just about business. Every show, like it does motivate me just a little bit more. It keeps me on track, and it just I mean, it could be just one thing we say or one thing that we discuss that I take, and like it's inspired me to write the books. It's inspired me to partner with more folks and implement things in my business. And that's why you listen. You might not get anything out of a show, but it's like you're committing yourself to something, and you're you're in it. You know, like it's
Yeah, I think there's things that through the journey that like you hear and you're just like, yeah, man, I've heard it, right? I like touch back because you're right. Zeb, and I would say it to another level. Like Zeb's been the most impactful person and relationship that I've made this year, for sure, because he has a service and a product of something that I'm not historically very good at, which is understanding the real engine of a business, which is the finance side. Like I get it intuitively. I make a lot of good gut instincts. However, what I've been learning, like working with him, that's great. It's great to have that, but it definitely doesn't cut it as far as like really achieving and moving to the next level in your business. Like a gut instinct is wonderful. However, like your numbers sometimes will be completely opposite of what that gut instinct was, and it'll tell you really clearly. And sometimes it's right, but sometimes it's really wrong. And I think that's the difference between what, $10 million plus companies and to, 50 million, $100 million, even billion-dollar companies understand at a deeper, more granular level. And so those are always the shows that I love the most, and which become challenging for me sometimes with the podcast. Like I'll just, again, full transparency. In the beginning years, it was awesome because everybody was like, and don't get me wrong, there's a learning opportunity from everything. I could bring Chance on the podcast and learn something new, right?
yeah.
He was like one of my operations guys. And so I try to learn something from everyone. Don't get me wrong. However, there's podcasts that we do where someone comes on and I'm just like, yikes. Like I'm going to shut the fuck up. All the jokes are out the window. Well, not all of them. I'm still going to come. But we're for an hour and I just don't want it to end. Like, I'm just like, yes, tell me more. I want to learn more about this, because that's what was interesting for me about the podcast when we first got started, was that like I was going to learn from you. And then like you opened up your network and started having people on the show that were operating at a higher level or a different kind of business. And it was really interesting to hear those kind of stories. And so that's always, and I still get really excited for the episodes where I feel like I get to learn, and then I get to ask interesting questions that are important to me. It's all about me. I'm doing this show solely for me, for my journey. I don't care what you guys learn from me. Send a check in the mail. That's when I'll start caring.
You know, I get a lot of people now that we've done this for so long. They ask about like, what does it take to grow a podcast? Because honestly, I think that depending on what you do, there always is a way to create some type of community around your business. And I mean, even like some of the operators here in Destin, they've created like these big Facebook groups of like different things you can do in a destination as a way to kind of create community and create like a channel. And so it doesn't matter what type of business you're in, there is an opportunity to build a community and do something like what Kevin and I've done. But one thing that is very important about building community and starting a podcast is that first 30, 40 episodes is always going to be the hardest. You're going to question whether or not you want to do this. Even Kevin and I, after like the 10th episode, I remember Kevin's like, what are we doing this for? Like, should we continue? And it was, Kevin, I had a business, so I can, benefit from it a little bit. Kevin was doing it, just because out of education and eager to learn, through the network that I had. But eventually it turned out, we decided to keep it going. And, Kevin was able to, leverage it to take my boat test and all sorts of other, side businesses. He met a lot of great people along the way. What are you talking about?
Oh, like, I feel like you just told everybody that like you invited me to do this podcast so I can learn from you. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Well, in the beginning, that was what it was, but
no, it was more so to like stroke my own ego and hear myself talk, dude.
Well, that too. Yeah.
Fuck out of here, dude. I was like, yeah, man, I'm the smartest guy in the world. I wanted everybody to fucking believe that shit, Now it's a well-known fact that I'm not, that I'm an idiot just like you. If I can do it, so can you.
No,
True story.
but building a, I'll tell you, if you're thinking like, oh, this is easy, I'm just gonna, hit record and do it. Like, no, it is actually a lot harder than you think, especially to get momentum. And this is a niche like we're doing the show for. Like, there's not thousands of people out there that will listen to this type of content, and it can be discouraging when you release an episode and you're like, man, that was a great episode, and only like 50 people listened. Obviously, we're a lot further past that, but people definitely feel the need of like, why am I doing this, and is it working, and should I keep going? But that's the difference between good and great shows, is you kind of have to push through those early years in order to start seeing the momentum.
It's such an expansion of network too. I mean, we're really lucky, right? So I see a lot of guys. I see a lot of guys in the marketing space, and not like our type of marketing, guys that are just selling horse shit. And I've had them, from different business groups I'm in. Like I'm in this, and I've talked about on the show, I've been in like Apex fucking business network or whatever. And just a lot of guys don't know what they're doing, or like, I'm sorry, I mean, like, know what they want to do, right? Like they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to start a business, but they don't know what it is. And then they start a podcast, right? And I'm like, oh, awesome, dude. Like, you're not in any industry, you're just trying to start like a random, super generalized podcast. And man, like hundreds and thousands of fucking podcasts some of these guys do. And it's wild how much, zero low bandwidth horse shit that gets put out. I will say that we were very lucky, being that we're the only ones in this space. Go check out roofing, building, plumbing, the trades, like podcast galore.
Yeah.
This is like was super first mover advantage type shit that we got ourselves into. And so we got really lucky. And so I just say that to say, like, results may vary, or results aren't typical, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, for us, it's expanded our network, created opportunities for Greg and I both, personally and professionally. It's been awesome. However, that being said, I see it, guys, grind away at this shit for a long time, and the needle not move fucking an inch, you know what I mean? At least outwardly, right? Like, they're not going there and complaining about it, but a guy who's just like sole job is making podcasts, it's just kind of like there's a pitch, right? And I think that's a big part of it, is that we've never really pitched. I mean, we have the event, obviously. I know there's some things in the future we want to do to build our community and not just be a podcast and event. Like, in addition to everything else Greg and I do, like, we really enjoy this and we want to build upon it. And yeah, like, I'm sure very soon in the future, there's going to be an offer. But I don't think you're ever going to turn on this podcast and, like, hell, even to your point, just a couple weeks ago, you're like, man, we don't pitch enough in the group for wave res and take my boat test. and I'm just kind of like, I guess, I don't know, to a point, like, I'm almost jaded, where it's like, man, if I pitch in the podcast, or if I pitch in the group or do something in the group, then I'm going to have to like answer a bunch of questions and DMs. I'm just like, I don't want to do that right now. You know what I mean? Like, make my salesperson go out and pitch in the fucking, make Jill go out and pitch inside the group, because I don't want to answer a bunch of questions from people from New Zealand. Like, no, Florida only. Leave me alone.
When did you like realize during this whole journey? We've been doing this for 5 years. So we started this podcast on COVID, but of the 5 years, like, when did you realize that, wow, like, we actually have something with this show? Like, is there a specific moment, or
I'm waiting for that moment. I'm waiting for the moment to be like, we're cooking with gas here, man. I'm not just wasting my time. I don't know. I think it's like, I honestly think the last year, I think like, and to this point, like any business, like this year, this event, it really felt, and don't get me wrong, like starting TMBT and shit was really awesome. And I felt like more vindicated about the last, I don't know, whatever it was when we spun that up, I guess 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was. I felt vindicated about all the time I put into it. And then it's like, ah, man, I could set this thing on fire and walk away tomorrow. I got paid back for all the time I put into it. Now I'm just going to take TMBT and run. But and I say that jokingly, but no, the event this year where it was just like, finally, like, you know, we had like a packed room. We had a fucking big space. Like it finally, like the needle moved for our brand in a really significant way. And that is when I felt like, oh, now I feel like we got something here. You know what I mean? It's just like anything, dude. Any business you start, like year 1, year 2, year 3, you know, seeing 10%, seeing 20% growth, or, you know, flat revenue numbers, or just not a whole lot of momentum, it's hard to get excited about.
Yeah.
But from this year's event to last year's event, like sponsorship numbers like quadrupled, attendance numbers almost tripled. So it was like, wow, like, man. And it's just like anything else. We've learned so much over the last few years. It's not just like, you know, in years past, it was just sort of like a small networking group that you might do in your own backyard. The only difference was we were going to other, you know, places, having fun, you know, sort of soft selling TMBT or Waiver as a trip shock or whatever it was. Like this year, it felt like it became like its own thing. Yeah. And so this year I was like, wow, this is cool. And I think that translated to everybody that was there. And that was super vindicating as well, because everybody else was like, wow, this is fucking cool, guys. Like, good job. So yeah, this year probably finally all the fucking hard work paid off.
I will say, when we first got our first sponsor, I think it was Amp or Von Mac. That was like year 1 or year 2. That was when I'm like, holy shit, like we could actually talk and do this and make money. And it wasn't much, you know, we weren't talking a whole lot, but it was like people actually see the value that we're bringing with this enough to where they're going to give us money. And then, you know, flash forward. I mean, to this day, we've done a decent amount in sponsorship.
We made money, meaning that we weren't like 100% out of pocket, out of time, effort, energy. Plus, like, yeah, it does actually cost things to have people edit stuff and stay on platform.
We were actually able to at least break even because we have to pay people to edit and all their
if you put in our time, I think maybe year 1 this year we actually broke even. But yeah, we had like 2 sponsors and committed. Oh my God, they're the early days when you spend all that time listening to every episode and editing.
I edited all of them up until like maybe episode 100. Maybe 150. I edited a ton of them, and then we hired Tristan, who does our editing now, and that's a game changer for us.
I won't even listen. I don't even listen to our podcast at all. None. I haven't listened to one like all the way through. In probably
I listened to all of them before they go live.
4.5 years. I kid you not, man. I mean, I have not listened to a full episode.
You know, that's very similar. You know, a lot of actors don't even watch the shows that they're on.
Yeah, I can't stand it. Yeah, no thanks. So, it's like weird to listen to your own voice. I don't. Yeah, that's why when people say like, "Oh, you said this and did this," and it's just like, it's a news to me, because like if I could tell you something I said in a random conversation from a week ago, I fucking couldn't tell you, dude. You know what I mean? Let alone this shit, man.
Yeah, it's really crazy how, you know, you come up with ideas, and you know, Kevin and I have businesses to run, so this has always been something we do as somewhat of a hobby, and we had no idea that it actually would turn into an event, sponsorships, this group. And speaking of the group, some of you that are in there might notice that there's been a huge influx of new members. And Facebook recently, and this, if you run a Facebook group, this is actually something pretty important to know. If you have a private Facebook group, you can now convert it to a public group. Kevin and I, we were going to actually start a new Facebook group that's public, you know, just to kind of attract some of the newer operators into the fold, because like, you know, people want to get into the space. They're not going to know the search for this private group. So long and behold, Facebook rolls this out. And, instead of getting 1 to 3 people a day coming in, now we're getting, 25 to 40 people a day. And this is great because it's going to get a whole lot of new
dumbass questions.
Dumbass
questions. I gotta imagine like the OG members of the group, like the first 100 or so members, the Kevin Nobuses, Stefan, Chris, like all these guys that were in there day one, who still comment, super cool, still engage, and I know all those guys are all about like helping for sure, but like I always wonder, like the last thing I want to see is the group get watered down, right? Or like, whatever, nonsensical. And I have seen it happen. Like I see it a lot in the other groups I'm in, the event rental space, Christmas lights, like all this shit. What they got 25,000 guys. So much terrible fucking advice, dude. Like so much terrible advice. And that's the only thing I want to make sure that doesn't happen, is that we get captured by fucking idiots that are just, blah, 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 like hate everything. Because it's really pervasive in all of these like sort of blue collar groups where there's just a ton of negativity. A lot of terrible, when someone's like asked something, what should I do with this? Or what should I do with that? Especially the newbies. And then guys are just coming in there and sort of, spilling their toxicity. Right. And that's the last thing I want to do.
We do approve all posts still. And that's not going to change. And
I'll delete comments, dude. I low key delete shit that annoys me. And I'm just like, no, dude, we're not arguing in here. You're not telling somebody to do something insanely stupid. I don't tell the person. I don't DM them. I don't have a conversation with you. I just delete your bullshit off. I'm very, very protective of that. Shit,
I don't know if you get messages, but when people don't get their post approved, they get like offended. I get DMs from folks. They're like, hey, my post got deleted or not approved. Like, what's the issue? And typically,
ignore it.
I will say, if you post like rapid post 100 things in one day, you're going to get them denied. Like, we got to understand that we're trying to create this community with good information. Yeah, you can ask questions. That's fine. But like, it can't be just garbage posts of you bitching, complaining of all, like, it just has to be good. And I understand sometimes things slip through, but for the most part, like Kevin and I have to moderate a lot of comments and stuff every single day. Like could be a full-time job for somebody just to do the show and moderate the group. And eventually we're going to have to probably hire someone to help moderate the group as it grows. But like, it is very important that there is some integrity in there. Otherwise, why would people want to, interact in there or help out? Like, I really appreciate all the people, all the operators that take time out of their day to comment and help some of the newer people coming in that are starting operations. And this is like, to me, it's super important that we have this, because you get some dumbass that rents all these boats and does it illegally and doesn't know. Maybe they just don't know like what to do. Now we're going to save a life or potentially help the industry, help lower insurance premiums. Like, there's a mission here that goes kind of beyond what we want personally. Like, there's just no other group out there that's doing this. So I appreciate everyone that helps out. That's
I don't know on that. Why did my post not get approved bullshit? It would just, they're just talking to the fucking ethosphere, dude. They're getting nothing.
Happen a lot. But I mean, one thing that happens more than anything, if you have a product you're selling, just if you want to post your product and pitch it, become a corporate sponsor. Clearly, like, you can post once a week, call Kevin, but like, we're just not going to allow commercial posts. Otherwise, like, we let one person do it, and then the next thing you know, it's
come on, man. Use your fucking brain sometimes, dude. Like, I don't know. It's like you got your cousin or fucking niece or whatever in there. Like use your brain. Like, why? We're a bunch of operators, like, come rent jet skis. Like, dude, fucking come on, man. Like, I don't know if you got VAs or whatever. Like, use your fucking heads, man. Go in the Facebook group and try and sell me a parasail ride. Turns out I probably know people that'll give me a parasail ride. Or, I rent boats and jet skis for a living. Hey, dude, you should come check out my shit in Missouri. What?
Well,
No.
what I think happens, Kevin, is that people will post in one group, and then you can actually select like multiple groups to post in at the same time, and they just like literally blast it. That's
No, I know. Or like when people try to, like the guy who owns my gym, man, he's always JP. He's always in there like posting like shit
that's
for
him,
sale.
his Rolexes
Yeah,
and
dude.
everything.
Yeah, the Rolexes, dude. Yeah, he's a great guy, man. I fucking love him. I saw him yesterday, and I give him shit about the Rolex thing too. But yeah, he's always just post to every group. It's like something that I think is so funny, man, that I see from a lot of operators. The bitching and complaining that they do about customers, and then do the exact same things themselves. Like I'm just so guilty of the same type of shit, being Karens, not, you know what I mean? Not showing up to meetings. Like, dude, look, you bitch about people being late for reservations, but you can't show up to a fucking meeting. Like it's comical. Sometimes the similarities that I see between like annoying customers and annoying operators. I'm like, yeah. You guys should start your own Facebook group, the Karens of Watersports.
The Karens.
Somebody's gonna spin that up, dude. You watch. You're gonna. I hope you do. I hope somebody listens to this, sends me an invite for the Karens of Watersports. Well, it's good. 200 in. We're still the same guys. We haven't been captured, even though we have sponsorships and corporate sponsorships and paid and yada yada yada. You can always trust that I will make fun of even my podcast partner's sales guy who probably calls you up, tries to get you on wave res. And I'm like, that guy's an idiot because he's just like us, man. So that's exactly why you should fucking take his phone call. So we appreciate you guys listening. Those of you guys who started with the first and have fucking come this far, thank you so much. And for those of you guys who are just joining us, I'm sure we at least got another 200 to go. Appreciate you listening as always. Keep it awkward.
Keep it awkward.
Yeah, I had to shut it down.